The next question that we want to answer is, green products have become ubiquitous to consumers today. The problem is that they're almost always at a higher price than traditional oil-based products. How do you think a solution to this problem facing consumers should be addressed, if at all? And this comes to us from someone named Adrian Cast. We got this question through our website. So I wanted to answer this question personally because this is a question that has come up constantly since the very beginning of Inhabitat back in 2005. From the get-go, when I started this website, pretty much the question that I always got over and over and over again was, these green designs are all great and stuff, but they're so expensive. Is green only for the rich? Like, what's the story here? And it just comes up over and over and over again. And I think that it's really important to address this question and try to get people to understand why green designs tend to be more expensive than mainstream products. So essentially, my answer to this is that you really need to look at economies of scale. The reason that a lot of green products are more expensive is because they're experimental, they're prototypes, they're emerging technologies that have not, they just do not have the mass production capabilities, and that mass production is essentially what makes things inexpensive. When you're able to produce things really on a huge scale in factories in China, that's when the prices start to drop. And to do that, you have to have a lot of consumer demand for them. So when you start off with a technology or a service and you have one person producing it out of their house or one researcher in a lab producing it, there's no way that that thing is going to be cheap enough so that the average citizen can afford it. So essentially, really, all of this stuff is just going to be driven by consumer demand. Once there's enough demand for certain products, the prices will fall because they're going to start to be being produced in a mass way in large quantities in factories in China, and at that point, they're going to start becoming affordable. So really, we just have to keep up consumer demand for green products and services. I think a really good example of this, and one more thing that I guess I want to say is that a lot of times green products are more expensive than their mainstream counterparts, but often they're higher in quality as well. Often they're higher in quality and perhaps they last longer, they're more durable. And really we have to look at, when we look at price, we have to look at price in a holistic way, not just how much you pay for something at the store when you buy it, but how much money you actually have to spend over a long amount of time based on that product. So one example that I always like to throw up is LED light bulbs. LED light bulbs are something that is actually, they're available in stores today. You can buy them to replace your incandescent bulbs. You can just screw them into your light fixtures. However, they cost about $50 for one bulb, whereas an incandescent bulb costs something like $1.50 at your local drugstore. So, for the most part, people don't want to buy LED bulbs because they are 50 times the price of incandescent bulbs. However, they last so much longer than incandescent bulbs and save so much electricity that the price actually does net out in the end. LED bulbs have a lifespan of like 50 years, and so that means that you're never ever going to have to change that bulb. It also means you're going to be using about 10% of the electricity that you would be using with a traditional incandescent bulb, so your energy bills are going to be lower as well. So I think that this is a perfect example of green technology or green design being more expensive than non-green technology, but if you look at it in a bigger picture way, you can see why that is and why it's worth spending the extra money. And I wanted to know if any of my other editors had anything they wanted to add to this.
Yeah, I actually think that was a great explanation and a great example of how the reason why things are so expensive and how they can be cheaper. And I just wanted to add that next time you go out and you see a green product that you're interested in, instead of thinking, oh, this is so expensive, think of it as an opportunity to vote with your dollars and actually actively bring down the price of that product by buying it.
Yes, I think that's a really great thing to add. Thank you, Yuka. I'm going to look right now for an audience question. So we have a question here from Tim Robinson that says, It's understandable that the economies of scale affect us all adversely, but wouldn't it be great if the government gave subsidies for innovation by companies by making an effort for change? It would give people the chance to go back to their creative drive and possibly restore some faith in capitalism. I think this is a really, really great question. I think part of the problem that we actually have right now is that there are certain non-green products that are out there that the government does subsidize, which makes and it makes them unsustainably and unrealistically cheap. Oil, for example, the government subsidizes the oil industry, which means that we pay less money at the pump for gas than people do in Europe, and that makes almost no sense because obviously oil actually costs a lot more than people are paying for it, and if we didn't have that subsidy for the oil industry, then it would be a lot easier to convert people to more sustainable fuel for their vehicles, such as electric vehicles. What do you guys think, editors? Do you have anything you want to add to this, or do you have any thoughts on this question?
Sure. I mean, I think that the government is actually giving a lot of money to encourage companies in sustainable innovation, just mostly in the field of transportation and energy. I mean, the government's giving billions to startups working on things like lithium-ion batteries, wind power, solar power, and stuff like that.
Yes, yeah, it is now. I think, and maybe my example about oil is a little bit dated. I think that the government's kind of slowly catching up. I would like to see even more and more of it, because I think we really, really need this. It's not just about consumers, because consumers can't change everything by themselves. There needs to be a concerted government push as well in order to make some of this stuff happen. All right, I'm going to go to our next question, which is from Tony Spot. It came in through our website last week, and the question is, how does the average citizen differentiate between actual green products and those of the ever-increasing big corporations' idea of green products that actually aren't? We're constantly being taken in by the big budget advertising of these businesses that are trying to jump on the green bandwagon. So this is essentially a comment about greenwashing, and Ariel is going to take on this question.
Yeah, I think first and foremost, Google is a great resource. If you're suspicious of a product or a company, chances are someone else is too, and they've written about it. But beyond that, there are a bunch of nonprofits that do guide these green products and businesses. Some of the most well-known are the Greenpeace Guide to Electronics, which comes out quarterly, Forest Ethics, Green Grade Report Card, which is a sustainable paper. You also have a number of certifications you can look towards. For example, obviously LEED for buildings, Energy Star, which is a government program for efficient appliances, lighting, electronics, stuff like that. And then, of course, you can always look to third-party sources, newspapers, websites, blogs like Inhabitat, that take individual products or businesses, pick them apart, and try and evaluate whether or not they're green.
Yeah, I think that's a great answer, and I think that the people who are participating in this discussion and the people who read our website are obviously very tech savvy. So clearly, you guys are probably pretty adept at Googling things and researching them online. And I would definitely encourage people to try to educate yourselves in terms of understanding how things are made, what materials are, where those materials come from, and knowing things about how things are made will allow you to be able to make a decision for yourself whether or not the claims about something being green are actually valid.